Along the streets of Queenborough, Town and Sheerness walked all of England's greatest seafarers, captains and admirals. Sir Francis Drake, the first Englishman to circumnavigate the world, left Queenborough with Queen Elizabeth's fleet to fight the Spanish Armada. Sir Jack Hawkins, privateer and slaver, and Lord Howard, the Lord High Admiral, left Queenborough shortly after with more ships to fight and defeat the Spanish Armada. Sir Humphrey Gilbert, who lived at Minster Gatehouse, established England's very first colony in Newfoundland, thereby becoming the founder of the British Empire. England's most famous mariner, Admiral Horatio Nelson, had a long association with Sheppey, from the time he was a young midshipman to when his body arrived back at Sheerness on HMS Victory. It is said that during the summer of 1801, Nelson and Lady Hamilton lived together in a house next to the church in Queenborough High Street. The Duke of Clarence, who became King William IV and was known as the Sailor King. He was great friends with Nelson, serving under him on HMS Boreas and flirting outrageously with Lady Hamilton. Admiralty House at Sheerness Docks was built and lavishly decorated for him, although he never lived there. Vice Admiral Cuthbert Collingwood, a lifelong friend of Nelson, led the second column in the Royal Sovereign at the Battle of Trafalgar and assumed command of the British fleet on Nelson's death. Captain James Cook, who had completed his first voyage of discovery with the renowned botanist Sir Joseph Banks, mapping the east coast of Australia. He spent several months at Sheerness prior to his second voyage while his ship underwent an emergency refit. Admiral Richard Howe, who helped to capture Philadelphia during the American War of Independence. He broke the siege of Gibraltar with a fleet of 33 ships, while the French and Spanish had 46 ships. Howe commanded great respect amongst the sailors of the fleet, and during the Spithead Mutiny he was rowed around the fleet and quelled the mutiny. Admiral Thomas Cochrane, who Napoleon called the Sea Wolf. Cochrane was appointed Vice Admiral of the Chilean Navy and was successful in gaining independence for Chile. He took command of the Brazilian Navy, and as a result of his efforts, Brazil gained its independence. Rear Admiral Sir Thomas Trowbridge fought alongside Nelson at the Battle of Cape St. Vincent and the Battle of the Nile. Captain Constantine John Phipps, who set off towards the North Pole, reaching within 10 degrees of the pole, closer than anyone previously, before being forced back by ice. One of the midshipmen was a young Horatio Nelson. Captain William Bligh, perhaps best remembered for mutiny on the Bounty, was also involved in the Norm Mutiny, where he refused to allow the ship's arsenal to be handed over to the mutineers. Matthew Flinders, one of Australia's most famous explorers. He was the first person to circumnavigate the continent and gave Australia its name. Flinders was at Sheerness while his ship, the Investigator, was being refitted. Flinders named Australian geographic features after his Sheerness friends. Rear Admiral Sir John Franklin, Lieutenant Governor of Van Diemen's Land, best known for the ill-fated Franklin expedition, which searched for the Northwest Passage. John Franklin, then a midshipman, was at Sheerness with Matthew Flinders while their ship, the Investigator, was being refitted. Sheppey's Admirals and Captains.